Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Maharaj's message is your advantage. The following is a Zoom session with the Mayapur ISKCON Youth Forum use by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj on October 18th, 2020 in Sridham, Mayapur, India.
Makakavatidachalam Pangalangayategaram Yatithasamahan Vande Srigaram Dinadalinam Paramanandamadavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram Harihi Om Tat Sat. So, some of the places they've been doing various kinds of outreach programs.
Some of the places they have been doing various kinds of outreach programs.
Some places they got a large number of people assisting.
Some places they have got a large number of people assisting.
In the hundreds and thousands.
In hundreds and thousands.
So, how to make it more accessible to the mass of students.
So how to make it more accessible to the massive students? Mass of students.
Now, Prabhupada said that this outreach to the educated boys is very important.
Prabhupada said this outreach to the modern educated boys is very important.
And in a letter, he gave some guidelines.
And in a letter, he gave some guidelines.
He said that they shouldn't be compelled to shave their head or observe any kind of strict brahmacharya.
He said that they should not be compelled to shave their heads and should not be compelled to follow this brahmachari kind of thing.
That they should rather be engaged in whatever they like to do.
Rather, they should be engaged in whatever they like to do.
Because that they can do easily.
That they can do easily.
He was saying that it's very important to get the educated boys.
So he was saying that it is very important to get the educated boys
in Krishna consciousness.
In Krishna consciousness.
So, of course, in the West, there's a free mixing between the boys and girls.
Of course, in the West, there is a free mixing between boys and the girls.
I don't know if they have a separate program for boys, separate for girls.
I don't know if they have separate programs for boys and separate for girls.
Of course, here we do.
Of course, here we do.
But we want that people should be committed to following a Krishna conscious lifestyle.
We want that people should be committed to follow a Krishna conscious lifestyle.
In the West, maybe 10% become brahmacharis.
In the West, maybe 10% become brahmacharis.
And 90% they were rejecting.
And 90% they were rejecting.
I don't know what percentage are willing to enter brahmacharya ashram here.
I don't know what percentage they are willing to join in brahmachari ashram here.
But we want people to accept Krishna consciousness.
But we want people to accept Krishna consciousness.
And to make the best use of their human life.
And to make the best use of their human life.
Whether they desire to be a brahmachari or grihastha, Lord Chaitanya said,
Whether
Sada Hari Bole Dako.
Whether they are desirous to be brahmachari or join grihastha life, Lord Chaitanya said, Griye thako bone thako soda hari bole dako.
And there definitely is some advantage to the Vairagi ashram
And definitely there's some advantage to the Vairagi ashram
that we don't have much distraction or different material engagements.
that we don't have various distractions and various material engagements.
But, we want to utilize whatever abilities anyone has
But we want to utilize every ability one has
and help them to get back home, back to Godhead.
and help them get back home, back to Godhead.
So that's why when I started the congregational movement.
That's why we started the congregational movement.
Not that I wasn't for the youth and the brahmachari ashram.
Not that I was not for the youth or brahmachari ashram.
I just thought I want to have a program for everyone.
It's just that I want to have a program for everyone.
So since we already had a brahmachari program,
So since we already have a brahmachari program,
we needed a grihastha program.
we needed a grihastha program.
And but the idea is that everyone should lead a Krishna conscious lifestyle.
But the idea is that everyone should lead a Krishna conscious lifestyle.
And I think that's very important,
I think that's very important.
that the boys and the IYF, they start to identify with Bhakti Yoga.
That the boys in IYF, they start to relate with the Bhakti Yoga.
And they decide that they want to lead a spiritual oriented lifestyle their whole life.
That they decide to live a spiritual oriented life to their whole life.
If they are desirous of being a brahmachari,
If they're desirous of being a brahmachari,
we can facilitate that.
we can facilitate that.
Or if they want to be a grihastha,
Or if they want to be a grihastha,
we want to help them so they should marry a devotee
we want to help them that they should marry a devotee.
and they should practice Krishna consciousness in their grihastha life.
And they should practice Krishna consciousness in their grihastha life.
Since the dharma of grihasthas is dana,
Since the dharma of grihastha is dana,
so they should donate a certain quantity for the IYF preaching.
so they should donate a certain quantity for their IYF preaching.
And they should themselves be preachers.
And they should themselves also be preachers.
So like this, we see that the movement is for everyone.
So like this, we see that this movement is for everyone.
And that we want everyone to be engaged according to their natural ability.
And that we want to engage everyone according to their natural ability.
Maybe some people will be brahmacharis for some years,
Maybe some people will be brahmacharis for some years.
and maybe some will stay brahmachari,
So
some will get married.
some will stay brahmachari, some will get married.
Whatever the orientation is,
Whatever the orientation is,
we want them to remain Krishna conscious.
we want them to remain Krishna conscious.
And just like I have some disciple in Delhi,
Just I have some disciple in Delhi.
he's a tribal from Assam,
He's a tribal from Assam.
so naturally he gets certain benefits.
Naturally, he gets certain benefits.
So he was trying to get past the IAS exam,
So he was trying to get to pass this IAS exam,
but he got registered in the bar.
but he got registered in a bar,
No, in the legal bar,
in the legal bar, yes.
not the alcohol bar. Huh. So, and then he started to practice legal profession.
Then he started practicing legal profession.
So he also helps the Delhi temple.
So he also helps the Delhi temple.
And like this, if people want to remain in occupation,
So like this, if people want to remain in their occupation,
that's all right.
that's all right.
But they should do Krishna service.
But they should do Krishna service.
So you can do this sun service, even like you said, Shantana Sima, he does some IT service.
Like so, everyone should do some service. Like you said, Shantalakshmi Narsimha, he does some IT service.
And that service is help the Mayapur finance, treasury, whatever.
That service helps the Mayapur treasury, finances, whatever.
So I have a disciple in UK. He's a director of a company, IT company,
So I have a disciple in UK. He is the director of an IT company,
and he got a free license from Google for my name.
and he got a free license from Google in my name.
So I don't know how many of you have the Jayapataka Swami app.
I don't know how many of you have the Jayapataka Swami app.
But I'll read that several times, 5 6 times every day.
I update that app several times with my messages, fewer times a day.
And I'll send an update that I had a meeting with IYF.
And I'll send an update also that I had a meeting with IYF.
So you have the
We did the poll, Guru.
already.
Yeah,
You can fill out the poll.
there's a poll and you can fill out the poll, and then we can see after the class how many devotees have Guru Maharaj's Jayapataka Swami app on their phones.
So most have. So actually, this is a very specialized service,
Actually, this is a very specialized service
because how to convince an intelligent person is different.
because how to convince an intelligent person is different.
I was talking to Prabhupada in Bhubaneswar,
I was talking to Prabhupada in Bhubaneswar,
and Sudhamana, he was saying he was preached to the scientists and the elite,
and Swarup Damodar Maharaj was saying he was preaching to the scientists
and the elite,
in the elite
and the elite.
and the elite, scientists and the elite.
But at that time, I was preaching in the non-hot and the general people.
But at that time, I was just preaching in Namhat and to the general people.
So then we wanted to say that the people would ask the scientists,
Then we wanted to say that the people, they would ask the scientists,
why do you give your theories?
why do you give your theories?
Prabhupada, he was preaching each standard.
So Prabhupada was preaching each standard.
But actually, we need intelligent people
But actually, we need intelligent people
to help us to spread Krishna
to
consciousness.
help us to spread Krishna consciousness.
The Bhagavad Gita says that whatever the leaders do, whatever the intelligence does, the common man follows.
In Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned that whatever an intelligent person does, the common people follow.
So it's very important that we reach the educated mass,
So it's very important that we reach the educated mass,
educated class, whatever.
educated class.
So I'm very much, in favor that we should have a very committed preaching or outreach to the educated boys.
So I am very much in favor that we should have a committed preaching to the educated boys.
Recently, I've been having regular Zoom classes,
Recently, I have been having regular Zoom classes,
sometimes in India, sometimes in South India, East India, Bangladesh,
sometimes in India, South India, East India, Bangladesh,
sometimes in other parts.
sometimes in other parts.
So the ladies have been invited me a couple of times to attend their classes.
So the ladies, they invited me a couple of times to attend their classes.
South Indian IYFs,
South Indian
I invited me about 3 times.
South Indian IYFs, they invited me 3 times.
I think this is the second time I spoke to the North Indian IYF.
I think this is the second time I spoke to the Mayapur-based IYF.
I'm very happy you invited me.
I'm very happy you invited me.
And I'm a very active person.
I'm very
although physically challenged.
Although I'm physically challenged, but I'm a very active person.
And so if I could hear some more details of your preaching, then I may get some ideas.
So if I can hear more report of your preachings, that I can give some ideas.
You know, like first we had the Nam Hut.
So like first we had the Nam Hut,
Because that was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's program.
because that was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's program.
But Nam Hut was good for the village.
But Namhata was good for the village.
They asked me what to do in the cities.
But they asked me what to do in the cities.
And then I came up with the Bhakti Riksha groups.
Then I came up with these Bhakti Vriksha groups.
Small groups which are suitable for the city.
Small groups which are suitable for the city.
I don't know what particular challenges you face.
I don't know what particular challenges you face.
And therefore I really haven't applied my mind so much.
Therefore, I have not applied my mind so much.
Because I have to be like put in that situation where
Because I have to be put into that situation
I can understand what challenges you're facing, what problems you face,
where I can understand what challenges you are facing, what problems you are facing.
and I can pray to Krishna and try to hope for Prabhupada, try to hope for some inspiration.
Then I can pray to Krishna, pray to Prabhupada, and hope for some inspiration.
But I'm very much interested that we expand among the educated youth.
But I'm very much interested that we expand among the educated youth.
Because Prabhupada called the modern educational system kind of slaughterhouse.
Prabhupada called these modern education system like a kind of slaughterhouses.
That people are put there, but they're taught that they are the body and work hard, get your sense of gratification.
They don't have this thought. They think that we are the body, we have the car, we have facilities, we should do sense gratification.
They don't realize the actual purpose of human life.
They don't realize the actual purpose of human life.
It's just like sophisticated animal life.
It's just like a sophisticated animal life.
And Prabhupada, he was challenged by the Melbourne newsman,
Like Prabhupada, he was challenged by the Melbourne newsman,
the journalist.
the journalist.
He said, Australia is a rich country, rich.
He said Australia is a rich country.
You are coming from India, you are a poor country.
You're coming from India, India is a poor country.
What have you come to take from us?
What have you come to take from us?
And Prabhupada, so he was one that he would, they threw the gauntlet on him, he responded in kind.
Then Prabhupada responded.
I have not come to take anything from you.
Prabhupada said, I have not come to take anything from you.
I have come to save you from a cat and dog's life.
I have come to save you from a cat and dog's life.
What? You're saying that we're living a cat and dog life?
What? You are saying that we are living like a cat and dog life?
Well, you analyze.
Well, you analyze.
And then he went systematically to the dog, what they do,
Then he went systematically like dogs, what they do,
how the humans look.
how the women look.
Ahar, nidra, my tune boy.
Ahar, Nidra, Bhai, Maithun.
Everyone doing the same thing.
Everyone doing the same
But
thing.
humans are more sophisticated.
But humans are much more
Does
sophisticated.
that mean that human being is just a sophisticated animal?
But does that mean human being is just a sophisticated animal?
So then he said human being is meant for something more,
So then he said human being is meant for something more.
meant for spiritual life,
Meant for spiritual
meant for
life.
answering the questions of life,
Meant for answering the questions of life.
meant for solving the real problems of life.
Meant for solving the real problems of life.
Birth, death, old age, and disease.
Birth, death, old age and disease.
So we need to have the intelligent people understand
So we need to have the intelligent people understand,
and have them, at least they can outreach to other intelligent people.
then help them at least they can outreach the other intelligent people.
Very important what you're doing,
So it's very important what you are doing,
and you should take it out with full enthusiasm.
and you should take it up with full enthusiasm.
It's not necessarily easy.
It's not necessarily easy.
There'll be various challenges.
There'll be various
And
challenges.
you have to think, pray,
You have to think, pray,
and then try different things
and then try different things
to see how you'll solve the problem.
and see how you solve the problem.
I was preaching I know you don't know that in the West, I go to the colleges a lot.
You don't know, but in the West, I would go to the colleges a lot.
I never been invited in India,
I was never invited in India,
but I went to like Baton Rouge,
but I went to like Baton Rouge,
at the Free Speech Alley.
the Free Speech Alley.
And you'll go there and stand up on a box and then speak anything.
And anyone can go there and stand on a box and speak anything.
So I would preach Krishna consciousness.
So I was preaching Krishna consciousness.
Some fanatical Christians that, they accost me and say
Some fanatic Christians, they cost me and said
different things.
different things.
I was asking those who are experienced in preaching in the West,
So I was asking those who were experienced in the preaching in West,
what should we do?
what should we do?
I said, just ask those people some questions that they can't answer.
So they said just ask those people some questions which they cannot answer.
Because our philosophy answers all the questions.
Because our philosophy answers all the questions.
And they come up to me and I would ask them.
So they would come up to me and I would ask
They would criticize that we believe in reincarnation, for instance.
that, for instance, we believe in reincarnation.
So I asked them,
So I would ask
why
them,
are people born blind?
why are people
Why
born
they're
blind?
born crippled?
Why are they born crippled?
I said, it's a mystery.
They said it's a mystery.
I tell you, I asked them, they don't know anything. Everything is a mystery.
They don't know anything.
Then all the other students booed them, threw them out.
Then all the other students, they booed them and threw them out.
So we have all the answers.
Because we have all the answers.
Unfortunately, most people don't know.
Unfortunately, most people, they don't know.
And so therefore, IYF preachers have to learn how to according to time, place, and circumstance, how to present our Krishna conscious philosophy.
So IYF preachers, they should know how to present our Krishna conscious philosophy according to time, place, circumstances.
I thank you all very much.
So I thank you all very much.
And some question now.
So question, Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Sometimes it is happening that due to more office workload, we are not able to do our prescribed services for Krishna like preaching. What to do in these cases? Can we think like Krishna wants us to leave the current office?
This is the advantage maybe of being a brahmachari.
This is the advantage of maybe being a brahmachari.
That you don't have the intense office work.
That you don't have intense office work.
But anyway, in an office environment,
Anywhere in the office environment,
as you move up the ladder,
as move up the ladder,
sometimes you get less time, sometimes you get more time.
sometimes you get less time, sometimes you get more time.
I have some disciples, they say when they got a job as a director in the company,
I asked some disciple who got a job as a director in a company.
they could delegate different jobs
They could delegate different jobs
and do all the required work in a few hours
and do all their work required in few hours.
and have more time for their preaching and other services.
And then they have more time for preaching and other services.
It's hard to understand
It's hard to understand
what the particular job is.
what the particular job is.
It's kind of a disadvantage of working in a place.
It's kind of a disadvantage working in a place.
I heard that sometimes the IT professionals, they make them work more than 8 hours, like 12 hours.
I heard that sometimes the IT professionals, they make their work more than 8 hours, like 12 hours.
And so sometimes there's different situations.
Sometimes it's a different situation.
And some people, they make them work,
Some people, they make them work,
but they don't actually have to do much.
but they don't actually have to do much.
They have set up some program on their computer
They have set up some program on their computer
that shows that they're working.
that shows that they are working.
They actually chant japa.
But they don't actually work.
They chant the japa.
They chant their japa
And the computer automatically types it to you.
and the computer automatically types.
So, I don't know. When I first came to ISKCON in 1968, we didn't have many books.
When I first came to ISKCON in 1968, we didn't have many books.
And I had to take different jobs.
I had to take different jobs.
And although I was from a very rich family,
Although I was from a very rich family,
since I was looking for some temporary job just to pay for the Prabhupada's rent,
since I was looking for some temporary job just to pay for some Prabhupada's some rent,
I had to work in many menial jobs.
I had to work as in many menial jobs.
Some plastic factory,
Some plastic factory,
pet factory,
paint factory,
all kinds of jobs.
all kind of jobs.
And then finally I got a printing job.
Finally I got a printing job.
So while I was doing the work, I would chant Hare Krishna.
So while I was doing the work, I would chant Hare Krishna.
And so I can understand that there's a problem working.
But I can understand that there is a problem working.
So try to do the best you can.
So try to do the best you can. Okay. Next question, Kamlender Singh Rathor. What is good to do if we have problem to write to Guru Maharaj or to pray to his picture as many times? Our doubts may be very silly or annoying.
I don't know what the difficulty is in writing to you.
I don't know what's the difficulty in writing to me.
Is it a difficulty you have or difficulty in writing and don't get a reply?
It's a difficulty you have or there's a difficulty in writing and getting a reply.
Sometimes I get more letters than I get reply.
Sometimes I get more letters than I can reply.
And when I reply a certain percentage,
But I reply a certain percentage.
and we try to answer and try to talk something out.
And we try to answer in Jayapataka Swami app.
There's various features,
It has various features.
and of course one of the features is that that doesn't mean you can see the social media sites I have.
Of course, one of the feature is you can see the various social media sites I have.
Every night I give class.
Every night I give class.
That's zoomed on Facebook Live.
That's put on Facebook Live.
So that's in Bengali, Hindi, English,
That's in Bengali, Hindi, English,
other languages.
and other languages.
I don't know if anyone knows Chinese here, but
I don't know if there is any Chinese here.
so I don't feel it's. You can ask your local leader, local preacher, and if he can tell you answer.
You can ask your local preacher if he can answer.
Otherwise, I have no problem to write to me.
Otherwise I don't have a problem if you write to me.
You know, if you ask a silly question, it's all right.
If you ask a silly question, it's all right.
I don't reject anyone,
I don't reject anyone.
and I try to answer.
I try to answer.
And if there's already some answer I give to this question before,
If there is any answer already which I have given to a question before,
then that may be. They also, I think in the app, they have frequently asked questions.
I think in the app they have these frequently asked questions.
You can see that.
You can see that.
If your question's been answered already,
And if your question has been answered
you don't need
already,
to write me. You don't need to write
you don't
me.
need to write me.
But if it hasn't been answered, all right.
But if it has not been answered, then you can write. Okay, next question is how to avoid hesitation in encouraging and convincing others to practice Krishna consciousness. Manish Kumar.
See, we're not attached to winning or losing.
See, we are not attached to winning or losing.
Our system is that we offer respect to others.
Our system is we offer respect to others,
We don't expect any respect
and
for
we don't
ourselves.
expect any respect for ourselves.
So, like one of Lord Chaitanya's associates, he spoke to our Ekasi,
So,
a Muslim magistrate.
so like one of the associates of Mahaprabhu, he talked with one Muslim magistrate.
He said, "You're very handsome, you're very powerful, you're rich,
He said,
intelligent,"
you're very powerful, rich, intelligent, handsome,
like that. He said,
like that.
"I just want to ask you one thing.
I just want to ask you one
Is
thing.
all right?"
Is it all right?
So I said, "Sure.
He said, yes, sure.
Please forget all this. Please forget all
Please
of this.
forget all of this.
When you die, it's all gone.
Because when you die, it's all gone.
Just chant Hare Krishna."
Just chant Hare Krishna.
He said, "I'll chant Hare Krishna tomorrow."
He said, I'll chant Hare Krishna tomorrow.
And that associate said, Haribol, Haribol.
And then this associate
You
said,
just said
Haribol,
it. You
Haribol.
just said it.
You just said it. You just said
Don't
it.
stop now.
Don't stop now.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Haribol. If you're trying, you can figure out what's the successful way of doing it.
If you are trying, you can figure out what is the best way to do it.
And that you're trying, Krishna will be very appreciative. That
And
this devotee is trying.
And if you are trying, then Krishna will be very pleased that this devotee is trying.
So we want to say things that are favorable,
So we want to say the things which are favorable,
which will help the person to listen.
which will help the person to listen. Okay, next question. Ajanu Bahu Gaur Hari Prabhu. During this pandemic time, when we inspiring the new person, they are chanting for some days. After that, they are giving up gradually, despite follow-up how to convince them.
We know that a Kal Deshpatra
As we know that the Kala Deshapatra,
is time, place, and circumstance.
Time, place, and circumstance.
The person also.
The person also.
Why that person is stopping chanting.
Why the person is stopping chanting.
You may talk to him.
You may talk to him.
Find out what his hesitation is.
Find out what his hesitation is.
And encourage him when you know his reason.
And encourage him when you know his reasons.
Most people are just lazy in spiritual life.
Most people are just lazy in spiritual life.
And so if you find a person chanting a little bit, then it can be very appreciative.
So if you find that person chanting a little bit, then you can be appreciative.
And people say, oh, I got so many rounds of chanting.
I asked how many rounds you are chanting.
They're very shy. Only 4 rounds.
They are very shy. They say only 4 rounds.
4 rounds! Wow! 2.5 million names of Krishna in a year.
4.5 rounds. Wow! 2.5 million names of Krishna in a year.
2.5.
2.5.
So like that, I try to encourage people. I think, wow, I was only 4 rounds. This is so happy.
So like
I'll
that.
chant 8 rounds.
So like that, I try to encourage people. They chant even 1 round, and I try to encourage them, and they feel, oh wow, he's so happy, and they say, oh, I'll try to chant 8 rounds.
Yeah, so
Okay. Next question, Ishta Dev Gopal Prabhu. My question is, even while doing service, mind will say that current service is not good. Do some sadhana. When doing sadhana, mind tells us to do some service. Kindly guide me how to overcome this.
I was chanting 32 rounds a day.
I was chanting 32 rounds a day.
I was very proud.
I felt very
I
proud.
thought I was doing sadhana.
I was thinking I'm doing sadhana.
And Prabhupada asked me what I'm doing.
Prabhupada asked me what I'm doing.
I said, I'm chanting 32 rounds.
I said I'm chanting 32 rounds.
I thought Prabhupada would be very happy.
I thought Prabhupada would be very happy.
He said, you stay here all day and chant rounds.
He said, if you stay here all day and chant rounds,
Go out and preach.
we'll go out and preach.
Chant 16 rounds and go out and preach.
Chant 16 rounds and go out and preach.
So we have a dedicated time every day
So we have a dedicated time every day
for chanting.
for chanting,
2 hours a day.
2 hours a day.
22 hours we can spend in preaching, a little time we spend sleeping.
22 hours we have for preaching, little time we can spend in sleeping, eating. Next question. Could you please kindly help us in genuinely inspiring others? Practically, I face challenge in getting my audience follow what we try to teach in line with Srila Prabhupada's books. It requires a number of time repetition, and when we say it again and again, they think, oh, I have heard this. But they don't consider that they are not following how to convince them. Nirbhay Nityananda Das.
And why Nityananda Das? So your name means you have no fear.
So your name means that you don't have fear.
But Nityananda was very merciful.
But Nityananda was very merciful.
So, like that, if people say one way and they're not accepting,
So like that people may say one thing and they are not accepting.
and continue the same way again and again, not going to produce the result.
So repeating it again and again
Not produce the result.
will not produce a result.
Not produce the result even said one time.
So it will not produce
It
the,
did not. It did not.
it did not produce the result even when we said once.
And then you have to think of some new way to say
So
it.
then you have to think of some new ways.
All right. Recently I went to some program. I think I forgot to update the app.
Recently I went to some program.
for the children.
For the children.
I said Purushottam month challenge,
They said Purushottam month challenge.
and they had different children who participated.
They had different children who participated.
Was how,
We'll see this at the end, Guruman.
so in this way, sometimes a challenge, sometimes a raid, sometimes you have to use a different tactic.
Sometimes we challenge, sometimes we debate, sometimes we use different tactics.
This is I tell wives, tell their husband who is not Krishna conscious.
So I just like I tell some wives to tell their husband if they were not Krishna conscious.
Dear husband, please, can you help me understand this verse?
Dear husband, can you help me understand this verse?
Because a man may be very macho, puffed up.
Because the man may be very macho, puffed up.
So the lady are using her female intelligence.
So the lady using her female intelligence,
She doesn't understand the verse,
she may understand the verse.
but she tells her husband, can you help me understand it?
But she tells the husband, can you help me understand this?
And he looks, oh, what a man. And he looks. This way she tricks him to read the book.
This way she tricks him to read the book.
So what means you use to trick people or get people to chant or read?
So what tricks you use for people to get them chant, read?
That's something that you have to think a bit out of the box.
That's something you have to think out of the box.
Hi, well.
Next question, Shivam.
Hi.
So question, what is character? How to build a character? Sometimes it takes lots of courage to face real problems of life and challenges. How to overcome that?
See, the devotee always depends on Krishna.
See, devotees always depend on Krishna.
When we face some challenge,
When we face some challenge,
we have to learn how to depend on Krishna.
we should learn how to depend on Krishna.
He's in our heart,
He is in our heart
and He knows what we're facing.
and He knows what we are
So
facing.
if we think, Krishna, what should I do in this case?
So if you say, Krishna, what should I do in this case?
You know, He give us intelligence,
He can give us intelligence.
how to face this problem.
How to face this problem.
And he mentioned that in the Gita.
He mentioned that in the
As
Gita.
far as his devotee, He gives the intelligence by which they can serve Him.
That for his devotees, he gives the intelligence by they can serve him. Next question, Rasman Nityananda Das. How to preach and convince people in short duration of time? Example, train, marketplace, etc.
Huh?
How to preach to people in a short period of time while they are in train or they are in a marketplace.
You know, in the time, place, and circumstance,
In the time, place, circumstance,
what's your goal?
what's your goal?
In the marketplace, what do you want to do?
In marketplace, what you want to do?
If you get the people to buy a book,
If you can get people to buy a book,
and they read it for hours and hours,
then they'll read it for hours and hours.
so then they'll have some understanding.
So then they'll have some understanding.
So what you'll speak in the market,
So what you'll speak in the market?
some places you may want to distribute a book.
Some place you might want to distribute a book.
You have to see the circumstance, what's the best way of preaching.
You have to see the circumstance, what is the best way of preaching. Next question, Jitendra. How to control lusty thoughts and desires while practicing bhakti alone? Sometimes due to lusty desires, I am not able to chant properly. So how to overcome this?
Arjuna asked a similar question,
I think Arjuna asked the similar question.
and Krishna said that by the sword of knowledge,
And Krishna said that by the sword of knowledge,
you cut the the knots of illusion.
We can cut the knots of the illusion.
So, there are different ways to overcome.
There are different ways to overcome.
One is knowledge.
One is knowledge.
We have to have knowledge.
We have to have knowledge.
But if someone is like in the Gajendra Moksha, the elephant king and the crocodile king are
Like in the
fighting with each other.
Gajendra Mokshan Leela, the elephant king and the crocodile king, they were fighting with each other
And they're in the water.
and they were in the water.
So the elephant realized he's a land animal, and the crocodile is a water animal. So the crocodile was gradually winning.
So the elephant realized that the elephant is a land animal and the crocodile is a water animal, and the crocodile was winning.
Then he prayed to Vishnu.
Then he prayed to Vishnu.
He could remember in his previous life he was a human being.
He could remember in his previous life he was a human being.
He was saved by Vishnu.
He was saved by Vishnu.
But in the purport, Prabhupada says that
But in the purport, Prabhupada says that
we should see which place we are stronger to fight Maya.
we should see which place we are stronger to fight Maya.
Even though we may have knowledge and wisdom,
Even though we may have knowledge and wisdom,
maybe our nature is such that we should be grihastha.
maybe our nature is such that we should be grihastha.
Or if we can control our lust by knowledge and by engaging in service,
Or if we can control our lust by knowledge and by engaging in service,
and keep the mind off the object of lust,
and keep the mind off from the objects of lust,
maybe that's sufficient.
then maybe that's sufficient. Next question. While doing preaching services, I face discouragement from different a lot and I feel very upset. Please give your blessings how to overcome it. Please bless me. I want to become your good disciple to help you in all aspects to fulfill the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Tapta Kanchana Gaur Chandra Das.
You know, it's a learning process.
It's a learning.
I was preaching in the Hindi, in the Hindu temple in Bangkok.
I was preaching in a Hindu temple in Hindi in Bangkok.
And somehow I wasn't getting such a response.
Somehow I was not getting such a response.
So I just tried to learn from that.
So I just tried to learn from that.
And everything that happens,
And everything that happens,
it's not, we may lose some battles, so you want to win the war.
we might lose the battles, but we want to win the war.
So we don't want to give up.
So we don't want to give up.
Then we may have to think how to adapt according to the situation.
So we may have to think how to adapt according to the situations. Next question. If even after knowing many a times what would be favorable for me in Krishna consciousness, the desire to do it in proper mood to get the blessings of senior devotees is weak, how to respond in these situations? Even after knowing many a times what would be favorable for me in Krishna consciousness, the desire to do it in proper mood to get the blessings of senior devotees is weak. How to respond in these situations? Ankit.
If you realize that you're weak
If you realize that you are weak
in some area,
in some area,
then you want to pray to Krishna and try to get strength.
so you should pray to Krishna and get some strength.
Pray to Lord Chaitanya, pray to Lord Nityananda,
Pray to Lord
Gurudev.
Chaitanya, pray to Lord Nityananda, pray to Gurudev.
You know, it's like athlete.
It's like athlete.
If you don't win, what do you do?
If you don't win, what do you do?
Give up or try harder, train more.
Give up or try harder, train more.
You want to get that gold medal for your country.
You want to get that gold medal for your country.
Like that.
Like that.
You want to offer something to Krishna.
You want to offer something to Krishna? Okay. Next question. How can we preach to our relatives and neighbors who generally think that earning money and caring only for the bodily maintenance is the goal of life? Chanting, following spiritual principles, etc. are waste of time. Praveen.
That's what we're doing.
That's what we are doing.
At least to their relatives, they'll listen to you.
At least they are your relatives, they will listen to you.
And you can see what works.
You could see further what works.
Flattery,
Flattery,
or hard talk.
or hard talk.
You know, this time there's a pandemic in the world.
This time there was a pandemic in the world.
People are dying.
People are dying.
People are getting sick.
People are getting sick.
Maybe you have some relative got sick.
Maybe you have some relative who got sick.
It's an opportunity to explain
So it's an opportunity to explain
that while we do our material work,
that while we do our material work,
we have to do some sacrifice for Krishna.
we have to do some sacrifice to Krishna.
Because if we don't,
Because if we don't,
that's why all this pandemic is there.
that's why all this pandemic is there.
Hare Krishna.
Next question. How Srila Prabhupada wanted us to preach college youth, how to make them serious practitioners of Krishna.
Not have them make a lot of sacrifice.
Not by not having them make a lot of sacrifice.
Let them do what they like to do
Let them do what they like to do
for Krishna.
for Krishna. Next question. Achyut Nam Das. I am facing difficulty in practically applying teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Even though I have read a particular verse, when it comes to apply in a situation, I just forget it. Need your guidance.
You should take cow milk.
You should take cow milk.
Read something, you want to apply it, that stays with us.
Read something, we want to apply it, it stays with us.
You say at the time you forget,
You say at the time, I forget.
what would I do?
What should I do?
Then I go out, I teach, and sometimes I forget.
Then I used to go out, I would preach, and then sometimes I would forget.
And I would tell people, okay, I'll ask, I'll see you tomorrow.
Then I would tell people, okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
And then I would think, there's the answer to this, what's the answer?
Then I would think there was an answer, but what's the answer?
Or I talk to some senior devotee or something.
Or I would talk to some senior devotee or
And
something,
I'd be ready.
and then I
I
would
could
be
face
ready
them.
to face them.
Next time I had to answer.
Next time I had to answer.
Haribol.
Hari Bol. And next is Santushta Nitai Chandra. I am a banker. The job takes my lot of time. So changing job or going for higher education after resigning, is it a good option to give more time to bhakti process? Santushta Nitai Chandra Das.
Well, it's a very personal question.
This is a very personal question.
And it's something that, you should analyze
It's something that you should analyze.
how much time, I don't know what your position is in the bank,
I don't know what your position is in the bank,
how much time it takes.
how much time it takes.
And you have to go to college again,
And if you
Yeah,
have
you go to
to, if
uni-
you have to go to college or university again,
and then get another degree,
get another degree,
another job,
another job,
whether actually beneficial or not.
whether that would be actually beneficial or not,
It's our practical questions.
it's a practical question.
if I had to make such a decision,
If I have to make such a decision,
I'd analyze all the things.
I would analyze all the things. Hari Bol. You answered all questions.
I think I'm very appreciative of your questions, your association.
I'm very appreciative of your questions, your association.
I see that on the gallery view.
So Guru Maharaj is seeing all the devotees in the gallery view, so they can switch on their cameras so that Guru Maharaj can see everyone. Okay.
I see some IYF, some ladies also.
So there's some lady also in IYF. With some relative, Guru Maharaj.
Huh?
Some relative.
Very nice.
Very nice.
And change your, some people have they say, oh bro.
The devotees, they should change their phone's name to their real name. Some phones names are there. Some is unnamed.
Oppo,
Some is
HP,
Oppo, Vivo, Realme.
who is Redmi Das?
Who is Redmi Das? Okay, so
Krishna Rajastu.
Guru Maharaj is blessing everyone. Krishnair Mati Rastu. Hari Bol.
Do you like our ad-free videos? Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.